Caring for your convertible top.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm John.
This is DIY Detail. Today I've got John from C6 Ceramics here, and we're going to be taking care of this convertible top. The owner of this vehicle goes through a Scratch Pass 3000 every day with his vehicle. And the car wash tends to leave residue in the top. And when it folds, you see these lines. That's part of the residue. So we need to clean the convertible top properly, and we're going to protect it with interior ceramic. The interior ceramic, it also goes on the fabric tops. So, shall we start?
Absolutely.
Yeah. First thing we're going to be doing is rinseless wash over the whole vehicle. And we're doing this as a protective barrier against water spotting because we're going to be using the hose quite a bit. One thing with a convertible roof, you do not want to use a pressure washer. Now, there are some professionals out there that use a pressure washer and that's perfectly safe, but you need to know what you're doing. You can't get up close with a pressure washer. You want to use a 40-degree nozzle, and just to be safe, just use your garden hose. It'll make it a lot easier for you. So now that we have rinseless everywhere, the hose. So garden hose is back from its semi-retirement. And we want to flood the surface. So what we're doing with the flooding of the roof is allowing the dirt to be floated out of the surface. Now that that's done, we can take a brush, and John, you've got a brush in your hand. Let's see if we get sudsing. If we get sudsing out of the roof, that means it has a lot of soap residue in it, and if it has a lot of that soap residue, then we need to keep brushing and rinsing till we have no more soap residue. So let's see if we have some soap residue here. Good, doesn't look like it. Excellent, so that's gonna make our jobs easier. Now, if you brush your roof and you have soap residue coming up, then you need to brush, rinse, brush, rinse, brush, rinse until there's no more soap residue. And if you have a black roof like this, that has sort of gone grayish and has whitish lines in it, that's more than likely soap residue. And that comes from not rinsing enough when washing. Some car washes rinse well, others don't. And if you're using a touch-free wash, the chemicals that they use can actually damage the convertible top. And that's why you want to protect it even more with interior ceramic. But now, rinseless wash, let's get the top covered in rinseless wash. Now, normally we tell you to squeeze out your sponge. This is the one time you're not gonna squeeze out your sponge. You want it nice and wet, and we want to, once again, flood the top with the rinseless wash. So I'm squeezing the sponge over top of the roof. And getting the rinseless wash into the pores of the top. Now, because the DIY rinseless has some surfactants in it and polymers, we are going to get a slight amount of sudsing when we brush. So now we can get that brush back out, John, and brush the roof. But we want to verify for sudsing before we put the rinseless wash on the surface. Because with the rinseless, you'll get just a little bit. You're not getting a lot, but we see a white trace where John has been. Now, normally you see us using a green brush. This brush is just a little bit stiffer than the green brush, getting us a little more action. I can take this side, John. It's getting into the weave of the fabric just a little bit more. And so far what we've done here should be your regular maintenance routine for your convertible top. Now we get to rinse. Now, John, we get to dry the roof. Before we can put the interior ceramic on, we need to make sure the roof is perfectly dry. So we're going to be drying the roof, then we'll take time to wash the car, do all the rest of the fun stuff with the car, and when it's completely dry, then we install the interior ceramic. And John, if you want to see just how absorbent that towel is, just deposit it on the surface, let it sit for a second, and you should have a dry square when you lift it up. You ever own a convertible, John?
No convertibles.
No convertibles. You don't know what you're missing then.
Someday.
Oh, they're fun. Especially with you in Vegas, come on. And we'll just give it another pass with the towel on the dry side, just to absorb as much of that water as we can. Now we get to wash the car. We already have the rinseless wash out, so we'll do it rinseless. And we're gonna do a little paint enhancement on this one as a bonus for the owner because, yeah, it needs it. Going through the car wash on a daily basis, it's a little scratched up. But we know he's gonna continue going through the car wash on a regular basis, so there's no point doing a full-on paint correction, because doing a full-on paint correction, we're just removing clear coat and it's gonna scratch it up again. So we're just gonna give him an enhancement, bring him a little bit of gloss, put some ceramic gloss on there, make it nice and shiny for him. And by that time, the top should be dry. So let's wash it. And we're not overly concerned about road film or all of that because the car went through the car wash this morning. We're gonna be using the rinseless wash as our lubrication for the perforated synthetic decontamination towel. Just to get off that little bit of contamination before we start polishing. A bit of contamination on the lowers, not too much. How about on your side, John?
Yeah, not too bad. Relatively new car.
Yeah. It's kept clean, but it's not necessarily well maintained. The car wash is not your best friend here, especially on a black car. All those little lines show up.
One of the nice things I like about rinseless wash is you don't need to use a drying aid when you're drying it down.
Exactly, you have the lubrication of the rinseless wash doing the work for you. Now these towels we use to soak up all the water on the roof, but they're still doing a great job on the paint as well. John, while we're waiting for the top to dry, let's give the car a little polish. So what we'll be doing, I'll be polishing, John will be wiping off. It's gonna be a very, very quick process. You've seen us do this many times before, so we'll accelerate this a little bit so you can get to the top. That's what you're here for. But nonetheless, we're gonna shine it up, and we're gonna be doing what we call our all-in-one, which is polishing with a gold standard polish and wiping it off using ceramic gloss. When we're wiping it off with the ceramic gloss, we're leaving protection behind and making a really nice, clean car for the customer. So off we go. So what John is doing is a rinseless dampened towel, and he's following that up with a dry towel and just a little spritz of ceramic gloss. That is going to give protection, and we had a little bit of enhancement. Like we mentioned in the beginning of the video, this customer takes it through the car wash every day. There's no point in us taking off a lot of paint to make it look perfect. We're just giving him an enhancement, shining it up, and the ceramic gloss will help protect the car a little bit more than what he's been doing at the car wash. That'll make it easier. Thank you.
Ivan, why do we have a plastic bag on the roof?
Well, very easy. The reason we have the plastic bag on the roof is we want to see if there's any moisture left in there. We've left the plastic bag there for about 10 minutes. There's no condensation on it, meaning no condensation, no moisture coming out of the roof. It's dry. It's a good indication for us. Now, we went around, we polished the car, put ceramic gloss on it. Even if you're not polishing it, you want to do a little round of ceramic gloss. It can save you a lot of time and a bit of heartache. What we want to do, what we're trying to prevent is having to tape up the windows, the windshield, the body of the car. If we get a little bit of overspray of the interior ceramic on the paint, now that we have ceramic gloss freshly applied, John can just wipe it away with a rinse and stamp and towel, then the dry towel. Very simple, very easy, and it saves us time having to tape up and all that stuff that's not necessarily fun. And the adhesive of the tape can cause problems too. The interior ceramic, we're going to be putting it on the roof fairly heavily. You normally see me just do 1 or 2 sprays per panel. I'm going to be doing multiple sprays here. And if you want to put it in a little electric sprayer, you can, or if you have an HVLP gun at home, you can do that. But this I actually find works best. And I want to get the roof wet. That's the goal here, because I want this to soak in. So this is where you see where a little electric sprayer is fun. So I have this half of the roof done. I'm going to take a short horsehair brush and work it into the fiber. John's gonna go spray the other side. Thank you, sir. And being very mindful of working it into the seam here. Then John's just going to pick up the overspray that we got on the windows and the body. Since it's protected with the ceramic gloss, one additional thing I like to do is along the seam is just take the sprayer and soak that seam. Because that is the area that's going to have the most wear and tear. Now, why are we applying this to the roof? Hydrophobics a little bit, but it actually works in a very interesting way. What this will do is if you just have a light mist, it's all going to beat up. If you have a heavy rain, it's actually going to flush the top, and that's what we want. If we have a light mist, we don't want the water penetrating into the fabric, because if it penetrates into the fabric, it's going to create mud. And that mud, as you're putting the top up and down, and as it's flapping, going down the highway a little bit, any movement is going to start wearing away at the fabric. By doing this, what we've done is now this fabric is coated. Again, a light mist, the water's not going to penetrate in. It's just going to stay there, roll off as you're driving, or dry. And then when you get a heavy, heavy rain, it's actually going to flood the fabric, which is what we want, and expel that dirt. I'm going to work it into the seam. let this dry for 1 hour, come back and coat it again. After that, 1 hour later, it can drive away. John, let's go take a break.
The roof is dry now, so we're gonna put the second coat on.
And if you want, you can wait overnight if you have that luxury. You don't want to get dew on it, but if you can put it in a garage overnight to do the second coat, great. And if you can, this is the one time we're going to tell you, do it in direct sunlight. Put it out in the sun. Let the sun do the work for you. It's going to be a lot quicker that way. And like John did before, I'm going to come back, make sure we have no overspray anywhere. Using the rinse a Stampin' towel and then the dry towel. While you have your bottle of interior ceramic with you, it's also a good time to coat your interior. That's actually what its primary purpose is to do your interior. But anything that's fabric, your shoes even, it does a great job on. Do it in a well-ventilated area. It has a bit of a solvent smell to it. And as always, wear gloves.
Ivan, I think they might want to look at this video as well.